Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. Hope everyone is doing okay. It is 5:19 in the evening. Let me check my volume. Let's see. Today is my dog's birthday. Ish. Pitsu. He is all of 3 years old. He's all boy. Baby legs. 3 years old. We took him to daycare. So part of my day was the doctor's office, getting my shots and everything else for the trip. And the other part was taking him to daycare. My wife and I, quick aside, my wife and I, we were driving down, it's a main street. It's like going downtown, but depending upon where you are, the direction, there's a hill. It's a really big hill. And as you're looking down, you can see City Hall and downtown and everything else. And so you get this awesome view of Richmond. Like, if I'm not mistaken, even the train station, like just all the way down, going all the way up. So my wife used to live in a particular area. When I first met her, she used to live in this apartment. Horrible apartment. But the view out the window was amazing. Like, it was this magnificent window that was the size of a wall by itself. And it was picturing out over top of the city and the skyline, including City Hall and downtown. And as we were driving by, I said, this puts me in the mind of, when we were in the room together, and it was a picture window. You and I had just met, and it's snowing, and it's dark, and so the view that you're getting from downtown is a view with lights on snow. I always think that's a fucking amazing view. And I was like, you're standing there, and the air conditioner was waving your hair a little bit. And as the air conditioner was waving your hair, you had this look in your eye that was somewhat lustful, somewhat egalitarian and full of justice. A little bit of Randy, but at the same token, I knew at that moment that you wanted me. And I pressed my lips against yours. I pulled your body against mine. And we kissed in the moonlight as the snow fell outside. And she's like, God, can we have quiet time? Where you're not talking to me at this moment. I was like, you're debasing our love. You're debasing our moment where we kiss. Let's go to the story, because I'm fucking around. So, a smear job. A complete smear job. Every so often, every other day or so, I take a look across the pond. I jump across the pond to see what's taking place. And what do I see? A hit job on Jeremy Corbyn, with this idea that the guy is anti-Semitic. And it's whatever you want to think, it is coordinated. And it was, to some degree, pre-planned. And you start getting this hit job that kicks in gear, high gear, when you look at the polls and says, oh my God, Theresa May's government is disintegrating before our eyes. It's like the picture in Kill Bill where the person takes a few steps and then fall out when their heart explodes. Theresa May has taken 1 or 2 steps, and her heart's about to explode. And the prime ministership is about to keel over. And you know what Labour is terrified of more than Theresa May's government keeling over? The Blairites. Jeremy Corbyn taking power. And when you look at the polls, a few things taking place. UKIP surged. When people realized that the Brexit that they voted for and the Brexit that Theresa May was going to give were two very different things, part of the electorate flipped out. Support for the Conservatives, the Tories, drained and went into UKIP. So UKIP's numbers ticked up. Jeremy Corbyn's numbers, solid, ticking up. Conservatives, not so much. If an election was held today, most likely Jeremy Corbyn would be prime minister. The guy who they said could never, ever take leadership. The guy who they said, even after taking leadership, would never be prime minister, is the guy who now, put your bets, will be prime minister of the UK. So you can understand that the Blairites are flipping out about this. And the Blairites want to do anything in their power to maintain the prime ministership of Theresa May for as long as Corbyn is head and may take lead. Because they know something. They know something that's fundamental. And they know something that I suspect the Democrats in this country know. If you show people that something works, they're going to stay with it. You can threaten in the abstract. I can say, oh my God, Jeremy Corbyn is going to be a disaster. Jeremy Corbyn is going to be a disaster. But the problem is, the moment that Jeremy Corbyn is not a disaster, you've shown yourself to A, be a liar, and B, it puts into real terms that what the person is espousing is something that can be done. I like both. A, you don't know what you're talking about, and B, you've helped so many people in what you've gone and what you've done that those people stick with you. I bring up this in the case of like an FDR type, meaning the moment that you give people Social Security, those people are going to fight like hell to keep Social Security. The moment that you give those people Medicare, they're going to fight like hell to keep Medicare because they know it works. The moment that they know it works, it's demonstrated that you've lied to them. And the person's legitimacy is shrouded at that point into law. What's taking place in the UK is a disgusting attack. It's not disgusting for the political ends per se, meaning if you're going to do something because you want to take somebody out for political reasons. It's disgusting because this goes beyond the political reasons. It's going into the character of the individual, or at the very least the smearing. Hodge, this woman, Mary Hodge. She attacks Corbyn, Margaret Hodge, attacks Corbyn, calling him a fucking anti-Semite because Jeremy Corbyn doesn't kowtow and bend the knee to the Israeli lobby that wants him to essentially affirm some kind of Jewish law stuff. Now, the catch of it is not so much that he's against creating some kind of rule set by which labor is going to operate. What he's against is them telling him what that rule set must and has to be. Now, all of this has to do with criticism of Israel and having anybody in the West that is willing to be critical of Israel from the occupation that is taking place in Palestine. It is a crime. You have a racist state. I'm not calling it racist. They themselves call themselves a Jewish state. I'm just calling it what it is. Now, if Corbyn says something about that, if Corbyn says something about an occupation, oh, they don't like that. They don't like that. And they're looking for any way to, A, take him out of his seat, but B, also to break the legs of anybody who has any criticism at all about Israel. Just to make my point clear, look at this. Jeremy Corbyn told by veteran Jewish MP, you're a fucking anti-Semite and a racist. Now, I think I said in one of my other videos that the only way you can come to that conclusion is if you're unhinged, if you have a screw loose. What do you use it to come to the conclusion that Jeremy Corbyn is a fucking anti-Semite and a racist? What are you using? This is made out of whole cloth. That's an attack, purely to try to get him to not hold his shape and to toe the particular line that people in the West toe with regards to Israel. Well, he's not going to do it. The fact is, people love him more because of it. What I want to get to more is at who Margaret Hodge is. This woman whose family only paid like 0.01% tax, who was able to essentially escape and dodge taxes. Her family was anyway, the company that she was associated with. But this was a pre-planned attack. Revealed. Plot to oust Jeremy Corbyn using veteran Labour Margaret Hodge to spark leadership contests. This is using race to try to come up with a pretext for an attack to take out the leader of the opposition. That's what this is. I want it to be very clear on what this is. I hate stuff like this because you're using something like race in order to try to tar the person, which somewhat delegitimizes the other arguments that may actually be legitimate with regards to race. Something happens. I had a friend of mine, he wasn't a friend, but a guy that I knew. We're playing chess. We're in a library. He's having a conversation with a white guy who he's playing chess with. And the white guy says something, I don't remember what he said. And it was clearly bettering him in the argument. The guy didn't have a leg to stand on. He was a fucking lunatic. I know who the guy is. And he says, how come every time a black person says something, it's an argument? Now, what the guy said was, I don't want to argue with you about this, because he was getting animated with the back and forth. How come every time a black person has something to say, it's considered an argument? Now, I agree with you. There may be some people who do that, but that's not what was taking place here. And not just not what was taking place here. What he was saying was lunatic error level. The white guy looks at me and I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck he's talking about. Because I did. No clue. When Hillary Clinton turns around and says, all of these people were sexist. All of these people were sexist. They were harboring in the trees. They were hiding in the sewers. And they were just coming out just to go after her. Bernie Sanders running in the race to some degree was construed as sexist because he had the temerity to run in a race against a woman. Was it anti-Semitic that Hillary Clinton ran in the race because Bernie Sanders was Jewish? This stuff is nonsense. But this stuff is used for political effect. And the fact of it is, there are people who are anti-Semitic. There are people who are racist. There are people who are sexist. There are situations where people are put in horrible situations where they have to deal with certain people who are misusing their power and authority in ways that tread on what they would consider to be their decent right to exist without being harassed. Those exist. Jeremy Corbyn is not a part of that group. This is kind of what I'm saying. You downplay, to some degree even undermine, the arguments of people who actually deal with that stuff on a daily basis by calling shit like this as anti-Semitic. And the reason you're doing this is purely for political effect, in order to create a crisis to try to take Corbyn out of the leadership, because you're fully aware that it's possible that Theresa May's government is going to implode. And if that government implodes, that the person who's going to take power is Jeremy Corbyn. This is Telegraph, I believe. Telegraph. A plot to oust Jeremy Corbyn's leadership has emerged, with veteran MP Hodge said to have been persuaded to stand against him to spark a leadership contest. Now, this is the same person who's howling like a maniac that Jeremy Corbyn is a fucking anti-Semite and a racist. Is it a coincidence that she was somehow bothered? Oh God, you're anti-Semite and racist. Is it a coincidence that the person who's throwing out charges in this way is also the person who was persuaded a few months earlier to have a leadership contest, or to spark a leadership contest? I severely doubt there's a coincidence. Let me make another point. Jewish labor movement. Israel had put a mole in the UK government. Now, this was exposed by Al Jazeera. The guy who was a spy for Israel was essentially working in order to create groups and organizations to, let's say, move the conversation that was further in the direction of Israeli interests. Now, do you honestly believe that this howling banshee screaming that Jeremy Corbyn is an anti-Semite and who had said they were going to start a leadership contest, do you believe that her interests also are not in line with the same movement of Israel, or that particular spot, or the Israeli proposition to try to get Corbyn out of that seat? I'm saying these two forces are colluding with one another and converging to try to get Corbyn out. Now, it's not that I think that this is some ploy by entirely of Israel. I think this is a meeting of minds between the Blarites and between people who are part of this Jewish movement, or in they call it Jewish labor force, but essentially interests of Israel, who don't necessarily like the politics of Jeremy Corbyn. That spy was evicted out of the UK. Do you honestly believe that spy who was working on behalf of Israel in order to push for the interests of Israel at the expense of the UK has somehow completely removed its tethers? The organizations are still present, or many of the organizations that were influenced in this way are present. And those organizations are pushing on labor. Part of the push on labor is dealing with them taking their version of what it means to be anti-Semitic. But you can understand their version is cut in a way to try to downplay attacks on Israel. This is a smear job. And it's a nasty smear job. And the smear job is not purely just isolated into Britain. It is also coordinated to some degree by the wants of Israel. Hodge is the avatar of that. She is not working purely in her own interest, even though her interest to some degree is going to coincide with Israel and the Blairites. But it is, I guess the point I'm trying to nail home here is the anti-Semitism thing is being used to some degree out of whole cloth. You would need to show the situation to which Jeremy Corbyn is anti-Semitic. Ultimately, this is just they don't like Jeremy Corbyn criticizing Israel. That's what it boils down to. This is just so far an attack that the Blairites can use to try to hit him. There's not a there, which is why she has to scream at the top of her lungs like a goddamn lunatic that he's anti-Semitic, because otherwise it's not going to get any traction from the standpoint of being real. It's like volume makes the place a reality. Smear job. That's all it is. A pre-planned smear job using anti-Semitism as a club. So, I put the articles at the bottom for you to see for yourselves. 16 minutes is not horrendous. It is slander, and he should sue her for it. The last guy that says something about Jeremy Corbyn in this way, Jeremy Corbyn threatened a lawsuit, and the guy had to come on and apologize for saying it. She should either be prosecuted, meaning he should take her to court over this, because this is slander. Prove your case. Show where he was being anti-Semitic. Show it. Prove it. Get it across. Otherwise, you're talking out of your ass. You're either a lunatic or politically biased hack, and you may be a little bit of both. But for the standpoint of people who are in Britain and Labour, this is nonsense. This is a pre-planned, coordinated attack where they want to get Jeremy Corbyn out using anti-Semitism as a club to which to do it. There's no reality here. Jamal, what's the point? Cryptic warrior. I just gave you the point. Politics is about perception. There's rarely any truth. There's usually truth there, a little bit, but it's not so much. Jamal is quick to call Trump a hypocrite, a racist. Yeah, because he's a racist. Jeremy Corbyn is not. There's a difference. I think Corbyn has referred her behavior to the party for investigation. Good. Derek Beneman. I do remember somebody made the point of saying something to the effect of, like people were defending her on this. I was like, how are you defending her on this? It's a fucking lunatic. She's a goddamn lunatic. Joe Trezo. All evidence points to Trump being a racist. The best that could establish is said at the best he's a severe bigot. Thank you. Hey, Joe Trezo, you and I are agreeing on this point. Yes. You and I are agreeing on this. Trump is racist as fuck. He doesn't dog whistle. He yells dog. Yeah. Right. Right. Dog whistle. What am I using this for? You mean UK's neoliberal wing is trying to oust their popular progressive weird? Yeah, Stephen Cole. Right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And I know you're being sarcastic because it's funny that would happen in the UK also. But yes, it's true. All right. I'm going to end this. I have another one after this. So I'll see you guys shortly. But I am solid. Yes, Trump is racist. Jeremy Corbyn is not. I can point to multiple examples of Trump saying stuff like Mexicans are rapists and drug dealers. Here's the thing. Either Trump is so incompetent that he thinks that most, if not all, the Mexicans are rapists and drug dealers. Or he's racist. Which one is it? Flamboyantly incompetent or racist. It's your choice. You choose. I don't think he's that stupid. I just think he's that racist. It's a difference in those things. All right. I'll end this here. But yeah, this is an amazing story. I mean, and you know what's wild about this? Before I leave, 1 in 3 Labor voters believe he's failing on anti-Semitism. Now, this is only like 29%. 29% of people think he's failing on Semitism. And when you think about it, you're like, well, that's like saying a third of the country are heavy into Republican politics. So what? It's not that I think it's good. It's that I think you have certain parts of the Labour Party who dislikes Corbyn. And in the same way those people dislike Corbyn, in the same way those people dislike Sanders, anything they can find and hit with, they hit with it. So, this is nonsense. This is something that is so out of line with reality that I call it nonsense. And I suspect that those people are out of line with reality because they don't necessarily like Corbyn and they would prefer to have somebody else who's head of the party. Sucks for you. Get over it. he should sue the hell out of her. And God, I hope he sues her, because I want her to make the apology or otherwise be sued for slander. That's how you have to deal with people like this, in my opinion. Especially if you're in the political space and you're UK and they're calling you bad names in this way. No, sue her. Make her come to account. She needs to come to account and apologize, just like the last guy had to apologize. And all of us need to be very aware that this is just an attack on two fronts. One, by the Israeli lobby, and two, you can say by the Blairite conspirators that Hodge is a part of, that wants to take Corbyn out that seat. All of this have been planned months in advance. They know what they're doing. Don't fall for it. The article is at the bottom in the Telegraph. Plot to oust Corbyn, led by veteran Labour MP Margaret Hodge, to spark leadership contest. That's the same howling maniac screaming, "You're a fucking anti-Semite," without a shred of anything to show for it. How about "you're a fucking awful person," Margaret Hodge? How about that? I'll end it here. Thanks, guys.